All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start our meeting, we have one item that we need to take care of, and that is to swear in our new student trustee. So I'm going to ask Jordan Larson to stand up with me, and we will go, I guess, to the podium. Yeah, okay, good. And you have some family members here?
Yes, I do.
Okay, could you introduce them? Is this your mother?
This is my mother, Laura Miller.
Hi.
She works at Sarah High School, continuation school.
Oh, very good. All right, if you could join me at the podium then.
One of my members.
It's in the
Yeah.
And I believe we're live. Yes, okay. So if you could raise your right hand, Jordan, please, and then repeat after me. You mind if we repeat it into the microphone right here? We have a little height problem. I, Jordan. I, Jordan.
I, Jordan.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
To the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
To the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully.
And that I well and faithfully.
Discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Discharge the duties.
Upon which I am about to enter.
Upon which I'm about to enter.
All right, thank you. Congratulations. All right, so we have a brand new student trustee. You're going to have a seat. Okay.
I didn't see any problem at all. I think it's more Nancy's.
Okay, we will officially call our meeting to order. And the first item is our report of any actions taken in closed session, which will be given by our clerk, Trustee Marcia Milchiker.
no items to report.
Okay. And we now will go to our invocation, which will be led by Trustee Frank Meldau. Please rise.
I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to thank those members of the Joint Special Operations that served in Afghanistan so well and faithfully. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you, and God bless America.
Now, please join with me in pledge of the allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and now we are at the point of public comments, and we have two individuals who would like to make public. Oh, I'm sorry, resolutions first. All right, yes, thank you.
Is my microphone?
Let me see. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Okay, if we could ask the control room to put everyone's mic on so that Trustee Milchiker's mic will be on. Okay. How do I do this? This is what I need to do.
Is it on?
Oh, all right. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to call President Todd Burnett and coaches Larry Radden and Heidi Ochoa and Aaron McGlair to the podium, please, and also the members of the Saddleback College forensic team. This evening, I have the honor of reading our resolution to the Saddleback College forensic team, who won national honors. Whereas the Saddleback College forensic team achieved one of the highest honors at the Phi Rota Pi National Forensic Tournament held in Greenwich, Connecticut on April 8th to 17th by placing 4th in individual events and 6th overall out of 59 colleges in attendance. Whereas the fundamental reason for the existence of the forensic team is to provide students with advanced speaking opportunities beyond the traditional classroom settings. Whereas intercollegiate speech competition serves as a motivating force in the educational development of Saddleback College students who are nationally recognized for their competitive success, as well as their commitment to maintaining a team that views competition as an engagement that demands dedication, respect, and ethical behavior. Whereas the Reader's Theater students' performance of Skinny with the cast of Ambrose Capuccio, Josh Guliza, and Lauren Bledsoe, and directed by Larry Radden, received the gold medal at Nationals. And whereas the Saddleback College forensic team is led by coaches Larry Radden, Heidi Ochoa, and Aaron McGlair, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees and the Chancellor of the South Orange County Community College District does hereby commend and congratulate the Saddleback forensics team, faculty, and staff for their dedication to our Saddleback College students, and also commend and congratulate the students of the Saddleback College 2010-2011 forensics team. Andrew Ronquillo, Melissa Sayun, Kelly Johnson, Kamel Leggett, Ambrose Capuccio, Leah Bowman, Chelsea Martin, and Josh Gulisa. Now, President, do you have anything to say?
Well, let's clap.
Oh. Okay. Can we please have the roll call for the trustees' vote on this resolution?
Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Trustee Lang?
Aye.
Trustee Meldau?
Aye.
Trustee Milchiker?
Aye.
Trustee Padberg?
Aye.
Trustee Pendergast?
Aye.
Student Trustee Larson?
Would the President like to say anything? And I would love to hear from some of the forensic team's coach because they speak so beautifully.
I agree with you fully. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our two primary full-time professors that oversee the forensics program, Professors Larry Radden and Heidi Ochoa. And that's the last I'm going to talk, so here we go.
Thank you very much. We're honored to be here tonight, and thank you very much for the resolution. I'd like to take a moment, or we would like to take a moment and explain exactly what forensics is. A lot of times people think that we're like CSI. We dissect bodies and stuff like that, but we're not quite as cool as that. We're an intercollegiate public speaking team that consists of a variety of different types of events. We've got platform speeches like informative and persuasive speech, in which we took gold medals in those events as well. We've got limited preparation events where you have a limited time to prepare. We have argumentation and debate, and then finally we have interpretation events, which are basically like acting events, but they have a point to them. And so with that said, we're really, really pleased to have been so successful this entire year. And without the support of Todd and the board, our division, our department, and all of that, this wouldn't be possible. Forensics is also broken up into different sort of subcategories as you go to nationals. You've got your small schools entries, you've got your middle schools entries, and large school entries. And so you can go with a couple of students or a few events, or you can go with the top as being 14. And so we were blessed to be able to have 13 students with us this year, and most of them came back with hardware, which is also an honor for the team.
I just want to start off by saying it's an honor and privilege that you are meeting with us at this moment, too. What you do is serve us in a way that makes this possible, and it's awesome that our students have been able to go on this journey with us over this last year. One of the fantastic qualities about our team is that our students have an associated student government. We also have a president who supports our team, and we also have a dean who has really, really put in and invested a lot of time to make sure that our team continues to grow, which is why we're looking forward to meeting 2 coaches next year. And our team really have served us in such a way that we've just been really, really impressed by their work. And so a lot of the times when we think about our team, we think about the work of our students and not necessarily the work that we do. So thank you.
Oh, and the Chancellor has your resolution, I believe.
Before you get away, the resolution that was just read is right here that you can take. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Photo, Chancellor, with the team. Could you get there? Oh, okay. Yeah. And I wonder if we could also have all the students introduced when you finish with your photo op, please. Okay. President Burnett, would you introduce the students? Oh, okay. Professor Radden will do that.
He said he wasn't going to talk to me.
This is Chris Helling. Helling? Jonathan Gossett. Last name's and this is Andrew Schinnerer. And so these are students that have been wonderful for the past either semester or the entire year, and all of them are in high regard, and all of them are champions in everything that they do, and I'm really happy that you guys took the time to come out tonight. This was tough for you to do, especially with finals being last week, so thank you again.
All right, thank you very much. All right, now we're at public comments, and our first speaker is President Todd Burnett.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Madam President. Board of Trustees, I'm very pleased if I could have 3 special people come up to the podium that we'd like to introduce to you and to the audience. We were pleased to have 3 new administrators and managers that we wanted to come in and introduce to you. First, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Juan. I can't believe I just said that, Juan. Apologize, Juan. Christian Alvarado. Come on up here, Christian. Christian is our new Director of Financial Aid, and we stole him, as I say, away from Mount Sac, where he was the Assistant Director of Financial Aid for that. So we're very pleased to have him. So, Christian, welcome. Second, I'm very pleased. If you recall, you approved a very important position for our college, the new Dean of Online Education and Learning Resources. We're very pleased to announce, we have announced already, but to here to give recognition to Dean Patty Flanagan, as you know, who's the current Dean of Social and Behavioral Sciences, who's willing to take on this very important position. And just believe it or not, had lunch with her today. She spelled out already the beginning of her plan, and the promise that we have for her is going to be fulfilled. We're thrilled to have her on. Dean Flanagan. And finally, after a nationwide search, I'm very pleased to introduce our new director of the College Foundation, Dave Jesse Ross Jenkin. Dave has over 20 years of experience, in particular in the higher education field, at Clemson, North Carolina State University. I think I missed it. Oh, in Tulane. I'm sorry. And then worked in the corporate sector in philanthropy for Bank of America. So we're very pleased. He's got a big agenda ahead of him, as we all know. And we're pleased to have him on board, Dave Jesse Ross Jenkin. Anybody want to say anything? Any of you?
All right, thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Burnett and Dr. Avalos for giving me the opportunity to work here at Saddleback College. Board of Trustees, thank you also for approving my appointment. And I see many opportunities here at Saddleback College, and I look forward to growing our financial aid applicant numbers, growing our scholarship program, and to forming cooperative working relationships with staff, faculty, and managers. And I am very happy to be here at Saddleback College again. Thank you so much.
Madam President, Mr. Chancellor, and trustees, this is a great pleasure for me to thank you in person for the opportunity to join the district and Saddleback College Foundation. From an outside perspective, I can say that the South Orange County Community College District is a destination employer. and I am so proud to be leading the foundation effort with the dynamic leadership we have of our President, Todd Burnett, and the strategic planning process that's underway that is so robust. And I'm convinced that we can really move things to the next level of excellence and preeminence as we all work together. So thank you for your time and your talent and your treasure. Look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks again.
I am very honored to be in this new position, and I think that one of the efforts that we all have as a college and as a district is student success, and really this is what my piece is for you in terms of online education, faculty development, and hopefully making our college a community learning center. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, President Burnett. Our next speaker is Mike Moore. Did I say that correctly? All right, from Lake Forest, and you're an alumni.
Yes.
It says here. Okay.
It's a tough act to follow here.
Yes.
You know? Speech team, and then.
Yeah.
All right. My name is Mike Javenmard. I'm an alumni at Saddleback College, as Ms. Padberg said, and I owe a large part of my success to the faculty at this college. Last week, I had the pleasure of attending several retirement parties for some amazing faculty members. These events made me realize that it is the faculty who are the enduring heart and soul of this college. The students remember extraordinary faculty who may have motivated them to continue with their studies and to choose a profession, and we saw that tonight. We got two distinguished professors. I'm here just to suggest the board consider naming classroom in honor of some of these dedicated educators that after they retire. Some of these teachers that I remember that inspired me were Bill Holston back in the 80s. I remember sitting in BGS lecture hall, and students used to sit on the floor and listen to his riveting, storytellings. And I learned, after getting out of the U.S. military, I learned my mathematics from Kaz Tarui and Dennis Hada. I remember Dennis Hada's blackboard. We used to go up with those cameras with film, take picture, and use it as our notes. And before the advent, sorry, I'm nervous. Before the advent of the internet, Saddleback College had Walt Diagero, who I think he retired this year, an accounting teacher who was teaching distance ed using the Saddleback TV. And last night I was in San Juan, and I was really touched and moved at Mike Reed's retirement party. I saw a bunch of middle-aged men stand up and say how Mike convinced them to go into journalism and how much they enjoy what they do because of Mike Reed. Anyway, I hope we won't forget this rich history we have, and I hope that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very, very touching. Thank you very much. Okay, we are now at board reports, and we'll start with Trustee Jay.
Okay, is this working?
It's working. You don't have to push it.
Yeah.
I've already alived every mic, so you don't have to push your button.
I'd like to commend the faculties, the administrators, the presidents, and the students for the wonderful, flawless commencements that occurred at both campuses last Friday. Particularly, I'd like to mention the fact that 51 faculty actually became emeritus faculty and retired at those graduation ceremonies at the two campuses. Both commencements went off, as I said, flawlessly, which is not unusual. That's usually the case at both campuses, but it was a great job all the way around, and congratulations to both campuses.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Jay. Trustee Meldau.
Am I on?
Yes. Ron?
Okay, great. I would like to say that I had the honor of attending the this year's scholarship ceremonies at Saddleback. I didn't get a chance to go to Irvine Valley College. I'm sorry about that, Dr. Roquemore. But I was just thrilled at how the students that were receiving this money were excited, willing to work, and just really thrilled. It's really a warm feeling to see these young people getting scholarship awards, and I hope that that's something that we can really work on. I also was at the commencement ceremonies, and again, I would like to echo what Trustee Jay said and congratulate both presidents on an outstanding job. And again, the young graduates were just amazing. Okay, thank you.
Trustee Milchiker?
First of all, I'd like to mention that I was delighted to open up the newspaper on May 12th and see that one of our wonderful faculty members, Kay Riles, an English professor at Irvine Valley College, was named one of the Orange County Teachers of the Year. And this is in the whole county, and this is an incredible honor. And I understand, obviously, she's a wonderful teacher, and this isn't the first time that our professors at Saddleback and Irvine Valley College have won the county Faculty Member of the Year. As a matter of fact, we have people here sitting in the room that have received the Faculty Member of the Year. So I also wanted to mention that we had a board retreat, and it was really a good retreat. We all got along really well, and I'm looking forward to working with our two new trustees, and I have a really good feeling about the composition of the board and the way things are going, and I see really good things for our district. I also attended the scholarship ceremony at Saddleback College, and an organization that I was president of for 2 years won the Donor of the Year award, so I was delighted at that. And the two commencements I attended were the two finest commencements I've attended ever. And I've been on the board for 26 years, so I've never missed a commencement. So I've been to 52 commencements. So that's saying something. They were made. The commencement speakers were wonderful. I never tire of hearing pomp and circumstance, and my heart starts beating when I hear it, and I see the faces of our graduates and know how we've changed our students' lives and their families' lives and the community's lives forever. I think about 1,000 people graduated at both colleges, and also I wanted to echo Trustee Jay's feelings that 51 of our faculty members have retired and were granted the emeritus, the title of emeritus professor. And I've known some of these professors for 26 years, and they're some of the finest professors that any of us could ever know. But we pledge that we will replace them with the best professors that are available in the nation. And so we will keep our two colleges as having the best professors in the nation, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Pendergast.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of attending the Phantom of the Opera production at Saddleback. My wife joined me. Really, really impressive work. Carmen's not here to thank personally, but I think I did so that evening. We're looking forward to Oklahoma when it comes out. Well, I should say my wife is looking forward to Oklahoma. I will be towed along. Yeah, I did actually get the opportunity to finally meet Kaylee Prendergast, the violinist, who shares the same last name. No relation, but we found that out for sure. And then also on the graduations, I wanted to thank President Burnett for giving us an opportunity to speak, and as a teacher to introduce the Professor of the Year was very an honor. I really did appreciate that. And then at the IVC, the ability to present the diplomas to the early college program was very touching. Talked to all of them afterwards, and I saw them again the next night at prom, and they were, I can't believe you were at graduation yesterday and your prom today. Yeah, and so they're very excited, and I get to do it again at our high school graduation.
They graduate high
we have
school.
extended an invitation to President Roquemore and President Padberg on June 15th at 3 o'clock, and hope to see you guys there.
It's rare that you would have students who would graduate from a college program before they get their high school degree, but that's what happened. Okay, well, it's my turn, and I kind of feel like I've been running a marathon this month because May is a really busy month. I started out the month by going to the Legislative Task Force, which is a group of community college board members and legislators trying to get together to see what we can do to have a common force. The only legislator at the particular meeting, and it was held at Coast Community College, was our former board president, Don Wagner, member of the Assembly now. So that's how I started out. Then we had our board self-evaluation, which Trustee Milchiker has spoken about. I went to our 2 scholarship ceremonies, one at IVC and then at Saddleback, and our nurse pinning ceremony, our Human Services Achievement Awards ceremony, the Phantom of the Opera, and our 2 college graduations. So I had a very busy May, but enjoyed every minute of it. Okay, thank you. And our next report is Trustee Lang.
Yes, thank you. I think you're going to hear a lot of recurring themes here. Obviously, May is an extremely busy time of the year for us. I also attended the nurses pinning ceremony, always a very moving experience. IVC Foundation Scholarship Award ceremony, and of course our board retreat, among other activities. I also want to congratulate both college presidents. I thought the commencement ceremonies were absolutely outstanding, and I also echo Trustee Milchiker's comments that in all the time that I've been on the board, I thought this was really one of the absolute best. It turns out that unbeknownst to me, beforehand, I had a chance to meet IVC's speaker, Martin Smith, when I heard that he had graduated from Penn State. It turns out he was 2 years behind me. We had both come from the same area in Pittsburgh. We were both involved in many of the same organizations in college, including the school newspaper and Lion's Paw. And the strangest thing of all was he wound up marrying my best friend's girlfriend. She was his girlfriend all throughout college. Neither of us had previously known each other, and the whole thing was really surreal. And I also thought his commencement message was truly memorable. I also want to, similar to Trustee Jay, reiterate my heartfelt appreciation to all of the faculty members that decided to retire this year for their many years of dedicated service to both colleges. These institutions are great because of these individuals, and they will be missed in the classroom, but hopefully won't be strangers and will still be involved with both colleges in other ways. That's my report.
All right, and our new student trustee, Jordan Larson, if you have a report, but go right ahead.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, everyone, for accepting me into the board. I attended the 2 commencements at IVC and Saddleback. They were very nice. I enjoyed IVC's outdoor commencement. The weather was amazing. Also, I attended the improv show for Saddleback. It was very comical. I suggest everyone attend it. Other than that, thank you very much.
All right, and then we're now at our Chancellor's report.
I have a few comments to make about.
I think it's on. Push button. There you go.
Push them.
Yeah, there you go.
There we
there
go.
You go. Mm-hmm.
I have a few comments about accreditation activities that are going on now. The district-wide steering committee and its component committees continue to work and will be working through the summer with the goal to complete all work and have a report written by the end of August. Recently, some of the activities, one was just mentioned, that was the board self-evaluation that took place on May 14th. And information that was from, that resulted from that process, surveys, et cetera, are now on the district website, so you can find a link to that information on the front page of the website. The report from the facilitator will be in a couple of days, and that'll be posted on the website also for your information. District Services is in the process of conducting a survey of all employees on satisfaction with district services. So far, we've had 430 employees respond, and we hope that number goes up in the remaining week. The results from that survey will also be placed on the district website. The district is also involved in working on a strategic plan that will support the plans of the colleges, And that the strategic plan includes representatives from the district services plus each of the colleges. And lastly, related to accreditation, is that tonight one of the information items, in fact maybe the next item up, is going to be a discussion with the board on the role of the board in accreditation.
All right, thank you very much. We are now at the item which is board requests for reports. Do I have any board members wanting to request a report? Okay, seeing no ones, we will move to the next item, which is our first discussion item. We have 3 discussion items tonight, so I know all of you have prepared very valuable discussion items for us, but just please do keep in mind the time. And our first item is the role of the Board of Trustees in accreditation, and IVC President Glenn Roquemore will present this information.
Okay, thank you very much. It looks like I'm the one that boots this up here.
Yeah, your mic is live, and I'm not sure about your computer. We'll get some help for you. Here it comes, help. Okay.
Mouse is running, but the cursor is not. But
okay.
I'm sure that Jeff can handle that. Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity. And how this came about is that I'm co-chair of a group called ACES, which is the Advisory Committee on Educational Services for the Community College League. One of the roles that, well, one of the primary roles that we have is putting on annual workshops for our trustees, for new trustees, and for the board chair, for example. So I had the opportunity at a recent meeting to be involved in a presentation from ACCJC that dealt with a very important topic, and that is what trustees need to know about accreditation. And so we're going to talk just a little bit about that here tonight. Looking first of all just at the general purposes of having regional accreditation. It's a very important process that we are involved in. It's a peer process. We work very, very hard at maintaining that aspect. That's not always true in all cases. Sometimes there are hired groups that come in and do the accreditation. But the primary idea here is to provide quality assurance. That's basically what it boils down to. And we're going to show that to the public, the students, and other institutions. Just to prove that we are actually meeting our mission. Now, one thing that we know that it does very clearly is it stimulates institutional improvement, because we know that that team is coming and we know what the standards are, and it causes us to work very hard at planning and implementation and then looking at evaluation again. And in fact, both colleges have folded this process over the last few years into the strategic planning process. So we're no longer waiting to that 5th year to do our self-study to be visited on the 6th year. It is constantly being evaluated on an annual basis or even more often. And then finally, to give credibility to degrees and credentials that we award to students. And that really comes down to this idea, a concept of educational quality, and that's where the board fits in here. So the role that we see, there are 2 primary roles, fiduciary responsibilities. One is educational quality, and we'll have an opportunity, I think, later in later months to talk more about that. And the second is fiscal stability. So one primary responsibility is ensuring that we do have educational quality going on at the institutions, and that we have enough financial resources and they're being placed in the right portions of our budget to ensure that we have a sound educational program. And then finally, related to both the academic and the fiscal integrity, is that you have a conflict of interest policy in place in such a way that we're not doing anything that will limit our ability to have academic excellence and integrity. Following on with this, as you know, the board establishes policies that are consistent with the mission. And the purpose of that, again, is to help us ensure the quality and integrity of what we do, to improve student learning programs, and also to have the resources to do our work. It's important that the governing board, again, coming directly from the accrediting commission, that the governing board delegates full authority to the CEO to administer these policies. And in the case of a multi-college district, that's delegated to the presidents to be accountable for the operation of the institution. Now, looking at the overall purpose here, it's really designed to cause improvement. And we're helping students learn what they're supposed to learn, that they're completing their courses and certificates and degrees, and that they're either transferring or getting their jobs. That is what we're telling the public that we're offering them. The accreditation process is supposed to help us build institutional capacity to make sure that we can achieve excellence educationally, that we do have institutional effectiveness, and that it provides the desirable forms of student success, another area that we hope to be talking about in a few months to come. Now, how do we know that we're doing all of this? Well, there's a couple of ways we can look at the metrics. One of them is internalized to the institution, and they can be mission specific, again, looking at what we're declaring to the community in relation to a mission. It needs to be supported by at least 5 years of data. So we have to be data-driven in the way that we make these measurements. It's a requirement for our accreditation. And we need to set targets and goals or benchmarks. And again, with our strategic planning processes that have been underway for a number of years now, all of that is happening. But all of you should know what those are and be involved with them. And also we have to make sure that we are looking at these regularly and making improvements on them. That's also embedded within the standards. So we have to be constantly looking at these, setting the metrics and also evaluating them. Looking at the accrediting commission's measures, these are ones that are set within their standards. So ones that we have to pay particular attention to is course completion, sequencing, making sure that students have the ability to move throughout the curriculum, and completion of those sequences that lead to a degree or certificate. And, of course, graduation. We just experienced the outcome there. You mentioned them just recently here. And transfer and job placement. Student learning, we've heard a lot about SLOs, and there's two types that we're held accountable for. One is relative to the degree, and that relates to a life situation or work situation. And a second type of SLO is actually related to the broad area of study that they're involved in. So that becomes the programmatic student learning outcome. And again, in future months, we hope to be giving you a lot more detail on how those work. Okay, and then getting right here toward the end of this, trying to be expedient here for us tonight, but the question is, do we have to meet the standards at all times? Or is it just every 6 years? Well, the answer is yes. We have to be in compliance every day that we are open as a campus. And so we must have a quality review and a quality improvement process in place. And you've heard about part of that, but there's more that you do need to hear about, like program review. You've heard some about our planning. We've talked to you about those. But putting changes in place that create improvements, and as well as evaluating what we're doing in terms of institutional effectiveness and what that really means in terms of student success. What the 6-year process basically does is it just checks in and just makes sure that we're doing this ongoing institutional practice. And so things have changed dramatically there. It used to be a 6-year process. And again, we would kick in at the 5th year, scramble to get our data together, scramble to make sure that we're meeting all of those standards, write a self-study report, and then have the visiting team come in. Things have changed. It's not like that any longer. We're constantly reviewing all of these elements, and we're anxious to be able to share those with you. That's what I had to say today. Any questions at all?
Have any trustees wishing to address the presentation? Apparently not. You made it crystal clear. Thank you. Thank you very
for the
much.
opportunity. Appreciate it.
Very good. And our second discussion item is the Education and Facilities Master Plan to be presented by our two college presidents and our District Director of Facilities and Planning, Brandye Delina. So, I'm sorry, what? All right, our Chancellor will introduce the presenters.
The educational and facilities.
I'm sorry. All right, go ahead.
The Educational and Facilities Master Plan is one of the major planning efforts that goes on our campuses and determines how those campuses will look in the future. We do this planning effort every 5 years. The results of the plan are filed with the State Chancellor's office. But more importantly, those plans guide what we're doing here in the district and what the sequence is of our activity of new buildings and remodeling. A year ago, through a shared governance process, we selected a firm to do this study, and that work's been going on for a year. They've been meeting with each of the colleges, and they'll talk about the number of meetings. There's a large number of meetings, large amount of involvement. The firm that was chosen is GKK. You've met this firm in other activities before. And they're standing here. David is looking very anxious, ready to go. And David
Not so
Hunt.
anxious, but...
And so I think the first speaker is David Hunt of GKK.
Thank you, Gary, and Board of Trustees. Nervously anxious, might I say. But it's been truly a pleasure over this last year to serve you in this role as District Education Facilities Planners. So it's been great working with all of the board and the administration and the college committees. Our presentation tonight will be roughly 15 minutes, and the purpose of this presentation is to update you on some important aspects of the plan and to review some of the current recommendations of that plan. First of all, as you see on your slide, we'll review the process that we went through to maximize college and district input. Secondly, we'll summarize the 20-year enrollment growth projections and the resulting facilities needs at the colleges. And finally, the college presidents are going to have an opportunity to present their projects that they're proposing for the next upcoming 5 years. As you mentioned, this has been an all-inclusive process, approximately 10 months. An education and facilities plan is the college's and the district's vision and a roadmap for the foreseeable future. It's a plan for meeting your strategic planning goals, the needs of the workplace, and the needs of the community through curriculum development and facilities. And since it's your plan, GKK Works facilitated a collaborative, inclusive, and transparent process where all stakeholders were welcomed and encouraged to bring their ideas and opinions to the table. And you can see how that comes about in a quantitative way. We had 89 college committee and shared governance groups meetings. We had 6 campus-wide and community presentations, conducted 39 in-person focus group interviews with college departments and divisions. A total of 232 participants were included in those interviews. We published 7 questionnaires and surveys, and we received over 3,000 responses. We hosted a website that contained all the records of all the meetings and presentations that we conducted, along with milestone deliverables such as the facilities condition assessments of all buildings in the district. The website also contained a comment and feedback feature that received over 100 comments. Everything concluded here with our deliverable, which is just one of several volumes, And these deliverables are the 2011 Education and Facilities Master Plans for Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College. Narratives and plans for the district facilities and ATEP are contained in both of those documents. These documents were provided in draft form to the colleges recently, and we received additional comments through May 16th. And now our goal is to incorporate those last few remaining comments and any other comments that the board may have so that we can wrap up the final document next month. And this is all pending a CEQA clearances that we still need to do separately with Brandye. Ben?
One of the biggest components, educational components of the Education and Facilities Master Plan was to review and analyze the enrollment data. We gathered the weekly student contact hours, WISH, as an enrollment measurement, and looked at trends throughout the colleges and throughout the different programs within the colleges. And with the college governance group, developed a set of projections using the historical internal data and then some external data that was gathered throughout the process. Both campuses had an overall growth trend in the past 10 years, with the most significant growth during the past 5 years. And what we found is that we expect that this growth rate will continue, however, at a slower rate over the next 20-year planning horizon. These growth rates, just to point out, do not take into account artificial constraints. And here we talk a little bit about what the enrollment and the facilities implications. The enrollment is used by the state to project space needs and funding eligibility through the capital outlay process. This process is a formula driven based on the enrollment that is reported to the state. And what you see on the slide is the fall 2010 space needed that was calculated based on actual enrollment and what is actually existing on the campus in reported space inventory. What I want to point out is for Saddleback College, the space inventory includes the district offices included in that, and then for Irvine Valley College, the ATEP campus is counted onto their inventory. Where you see the existing and capacity, for instance, if you look at the lab category, you see the two bars varying. And what this indicates is that on the left-hand side, where we have capacity generated, this is what the need of the campus is. On the right-hand column, on the existing campus square footage, ASF, that's what the campus actually has. So what these charts are showing that there's an actual need for additional laboratory space on both the IVC and Saddleback College campus. Alternatively, for instance, if you look at office space for both categories, the data suggests that there's an excess. At Saddleback, we know that this is due to the district offices being reported here on the Saddleback campus. So it appears as though there's an excess in office space. And during the EF&P process over the past 10 months, we used the enrollment forecasts that were developed to determine the needs at the time horizons going forward.
Thank you, Ben. I did want to mention one other person that is here with us today is Ed Holakovic. I'm sure that is completely wrong, but Ed is a facilities planner for GKK, and he's been with us for several years, but I still have trouble with his name. But he was he's been instrumental in this process. I think many of you have met him and have done a fantastic job kind of getting to consensus on this plan. So, as we mentioned, about 12 months ago, we got started, and we began with the 2006 master plan as our basis and our starting point. And as Ben mentioned, as you can see, we collected data from the research analysts at each college. We updated enrollment figures, patterns, and projections. We updated the facilities assessments and documented all the projects in progress and on the boards. After summer, we began the meetings with the colleges, and those continued through the first of the year. And with this baseline information and the space forecast in hand, Ed began developing scope of work for the future projects, identifying when those projects were required and how and when those projects could be funded. We prepared several planning options and met with stakeholders for feedback, and this kind of going back and forth iterative process took us through April. Through this process, we believe that we've arrived, or at least your stakeholders have arrived at a general consensus for the facilities master plan. And, you can imagine it was a challenge to kind of come to 100% consensus and meet everyone's needs, certainly within the first 5 years. But over the long term, this was a 20-year plan. I feel confident that we met the vast majority of the needs that were represented at the different committee meetings. And as a point of interest, how did we come up with some of these projects? We used this framework for our decision making and project identification and determination. We use these as yardsticks, as you see on the screen here. In regard to the instructional space program needs, the first bullet item, we use the State Chancellor guidelines for lab, lecture, and office space that Ben mentioned. These guidelines are established based on campus-wide student contact hours, and the district must stay in compliance with those guidelines if they were to seek state matching funds. So here you see the Saddleback College 20-year plan. And it's small, obviously, and it is in your leave behind there, and it's available on the master plan website. This plan for Saddleback calls for, over the next 20 years, 6 new buildings, a parking structure, road improvements, pedestrian and quad improvements, removal of the modular units in the, the lower campus, and numerous renovation projects. Sustainability practices are outlined in the sustainability principles of the plan and include water and energy conservation and efficiency for all new projects. Under this plan, Saddleback College will add over 125,000 square feet of new permanent space for a total of over 400,000 square feet at this campus. And highlights of this plan will be consolidation of buildings around the quad. As you can see, the Gateway and the Sciences building there, that will add activity and enrich student life on the campus and in that quad. Sports facilities have been improved, and parking capacity and locations have been improved. Here at IVC, this is the 20-year plan, and again, you can see new buildings, a parking structure, road improvements, pedestrian improvements, removal of a few modular units, and numerous renovation projects. The highlight of this plan also includes consolidations of buildings around student outdoor space and circulation. The plan has brought together programs that were previously and actually are currently located in multiple buildings on campus. Under this plan, IVC will add 100,000 square feet of permanent new space for a total of approximately 260,000 square feet. As I mentioned, we believe this is kind of the conclusion and consensus of a very transparent and engaging process. It is what we hope to be is a good roadmap for you for the next 5 years. And things change. The environment externally is changing rapidly. Things could change internally. And there is mechanisms for modifications to be made to these plans. Certainly in the next 5 years, as we mentioned, this is a 5-year plan with a 20-year horizon. So every 5 years, you're going to be doing this again. So really, the focus really becomes this next 5 years because those projects we're hoping will be solid for the next 5 years. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Burnett, who will talk in more detail about his ideas for this plan.
I'm pleased to talk about the next 5 years, the projects that we've come up at Saddleback College through this process of our priority. Some of these will not be new to you, and some of them may be. The first one is not new to you, and that is the new Sciences building. As you know, it's long awaited. As you saw the need for lab space, well, this Sciences building, of course, will add a tremendous amount of lab space, in particular in the Sciences area. The second project is the Technology and Applied Sciences building renovation. As you know, the ATAS, which is right next door to this building, is once have been very much in need of a renovation. The board has actually already approved the funding for that. It's just we are just now beginning to go forward with that. The third project is the Loop Road alignment, which, as you see, it also says practice field renovation. There's a throwers park. And what a real significant part of this actually is stormwater remediation projects. The board has already funded partially through basic aid some of this projects. And this is a project that actually will be at least over 5 years because there's so many different elements to it that have a lot of dominoes that impact it. But I can tell you that up front, over the next 5 years, we at least will be working on the stormwater remediation elements and some of the probably the throwers park and possibly the practice field. The fourth is, I think, what I would say is probably one of the most exciting buildings to come forward at Saddleback College in a long time, and that's the Gateway Building. This is really going to be a signature building for the campus. What it really is a new student services building. Student services has changed. And frankly, the building that we have right now does not nearly meet the needs of our students, of our faculty, of our staff, and of our community. The new Gateway Building would be a state-of-the-art building that is geared for student success, which you're hearing a lot about. Well, this is very exciting. This is a building that we're currently in the FPP process with the state, and they are actually doing preliminary planning for that, working with student services, working with our architects, and working with the district office as well. Along with the Gateway Building, of course, being the signature building for the campus is actually the entrance to it, which would be off Medical Center, is creating a road and a whole traffic pattern that would actually make it much more of kind of the front of the campus and recreating the whole entrance over there to fit the building. And finally, as you heard David talk about earlier, was the main quad renovation, and that the campus is going to be revolving around the quad. We're putting the Gateway Building, the Sciences Building. We're really trying to get the campus much more configured in a centralized area for traffic patterns, for student access, as well as much more better for instructional needs. As you know, we just are eliminating, we'll be by the end of next year, removing the CC building, which will be the second portable that's in the quad, which gives us an opportunity to look at the quad and find a way that we can make it much more feasible for students and helping them to be successful in their endeavors. We are being told that by all of our studies we've done with students, that the one thing they want is more places for students to congregate, more places to study, more places to meet, more places to hang out, more places to do just about everything you do at a college, and Saddleback is really lacking that. So this quad project, which will be done probably in several phases, will really get us there where we really have a very successful quad. Well, that's it for 5 years. As you can tell, it's a very aggressive project, but as I said, we're already on 1, 2, and 3 on our way. So, and that's thanks to you, thanks to our Chancellor. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Brandye DeLena, District Office staff, my Saddleback College, GKK Works. I will tell you, this process has been fantastic. I'll tell you, you couldn't think of a process that's been more participatory, more open and transparent, more support, and for really putting together a plan that I think you as a board can be very proud to see that it's one that we as a college, both colleges and the district, can really get behind and find a way to make sure that we implement over the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. And for IVC, we have Dr. Roquemore.
Thank you very much. And I would like to actually begin with the same congratulations that Todd had ended with here. This is my third facility and educational master plan process, and it has never been this transparent and never been this thorough. One of the challenges that our consultants have is to bringing an understanding about what is the purpose of this project. And many of us have our own passions about the spaces and the programs and the buildings that we want to have. It is a very tough job to try to bring in the fact that we're working on more or less a quantitative process coupled with a little bit of qualitative to make that project sell at the state level. And in that, there's a lot of data that's brought into it, and it takes a lot of good teaching to make that happen, and that did occur. So absolutely the best process, most open process that I've experienced. Looking at our 5-year project here, I think most of you attended our groundbreaking for the Life Sciences building in that tornado condition. I'm sure the building will be built to withstand anything like that. But we're very excited about starting that project. I understand the trailers have moved aboard or were due to move aboard tomorrow. Okay, so they're on their way. The second project you've seen for a very, very long time, and it has been actually funded in part for a very long time, and that's the Bronca Parkway Drive. number 2 shown at the bottom of the map there. This is extremely important for fire and emergency access. As you can see from the campus design, there really only are 3 ways in and 3 ways out, and they're basically on 2 sides of the campus there. So this provides another access for our students. It will provide better access for those that might come to a sporting event or down the road a bit, some performance events that may occur. It's a very important project to us. Now, realizing that now the next couple here are related to a combination of secondary effects, some modernization, but some new construction as well. The number 3, the A400 renovation, this was a piece that our team had to redouble their efforts to try to pull this idea around getting spaces for our humanities and languages and sociology programs. And what we landed on basically was a hybrid, which will be a partial renovation in number 3 there, along with some new construction that will give the kinds of spaces that are needed for these very impacted programs. And so you see that up the top of the map there. And you can see how creative our architects are, is that you notice that most of the buildings are at 90 degrees angles to one another, and number 3 was designed a little bit askewed there, and I think that's just the art part that's coming out. It had to be that one building that is different than the rest. That's the way they are, I understand. So then we get to number 4. We have it's truly a renovation for the B200 building. This is in our old 1979 quad. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done in there in order to accommodate new uses once some of these new spaces are built. Down to 5, the B300 building is another renovation, and again it has to do with programs that are moving out of spaces to occupy new spaces. To accommodate this anticipated growth that Ben talked about, we need to have yet again another surface parking lot, and we're planning that in number 6. And then a space that we've been, actually it's been on the books for a long time. It was in the last master plan. That's to get finally a fine arts complex. This is where you'll find painting and drawing, you'll find sculpting, so all 3D arts, you'll find music there, and a number of other applications will be distributed that, combined with the theater, will make this arts complex complete finally, realizing that our spaces now for these programs are woefully small. And, of course, that is a strongly limiting factor to the growth in those programs, and this will assist us in the community with some growth there. And then finally, the Performing Arts Service Yard, shown there in number 8. When you get these activities going on, whether they're performance or the practical application of the arts, you need to be able to bring materials in and out, sets and things like that, and that's what that yard will be for. So again, thank you so much for your support in the further expansion and development of undeveloped spaces at Irvine Valley College, and to the board and the Chancellor, again, thank you very much, and kudos to this team. They really did a fine job.
Hey, just one more facility to report on, and that's ATEP. And at ATEP, we've worked on 2 fronts this year. One front is working to further define the development rights with the City of Tustin. In this regard, I think we're making good progress, and I'm sure the board's fully aware of those activities. In regard to education and facilities at ATEP, the board has approved the next building on the campus, and the colleges are working to refine the makeup of the programs and curriculum that are going to be provided there. And recommendations for that are going to be provided in the upcoming board meetings. So with that, I want to thank you again, and really appreciate all the hard work that everybody put into this, and open up for questions and comments, if any.
Do I have any trustees wishing to comment? All right. Trustee Pendergast.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You're ready. I did. Oh, I'm in it. Sorry, we're just trying to learn a new system here.
Just, you had mentioned that it is possible to refine and things could move up the list. Is the primary driving force behind that finances. I mean, you mentioned state matching funds, which to our knowledge is non-existent at the moment, but may come in the future. But if you had a project that wasn't going to cost a significant amount, is what is projected or something of that nature, could that move it up the list, or is it no? It's got to have been approved by all these committees and the transparency and all that.
Brandye,
and I know Brandye knows of which I'm speaking.
Yes, they want me to answer the money questions. So the way that we presented this plan to you, we've used the basic aid dollar format with the $38 million as our basis, with approximately 80% of that assigned to the projects. And then as far as state money is concerned, you'll notice that in that 5-year window, there's a little bit more than that amount there, thinking that all of the word at the state chancellor's office is that they're going to put forward a bond in November and that state funding will re-ensue. So we've got a little bit of that planned in our planning. But if there's a project that's further down on the list and there's another funding mechanism for it, that's one of the reasons that we've discussed as being a reason for escalating that, having it happen sooner. Athletic projects is one of those. Would that be the one you were talking about?
Yeah, like the last one on the list.
Right. Thank you for asking that, Trustee Prendergast. Any other trustees wishing to comment? All right, thank you very much. We'll go to our third discussion item tonight, and that is the District Maintenance and Operations Report, and I'll have our Chancellor introduce this item. Come on, push your button. Go ahead.
Several months ago, Trustee Meldau asked a question about the ongoing maintenance of our current facilities. It followed one of the presentations that Brandye Delana made on capital construction. So the purpose of the discussion tonight is what kind of planning goes on the college campuses every day, every year to make sure that the buildings are maintained. And then what is our long-term plan? And how do we identify the work that needs to be done in out years and what's going to be the cost of those plans? And we have a lot of activities going on, and that's the purpose of the report.
Would you like to introduce the people who are going to make the presentation? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I got to do it again.
All right. The first speaker, it looks like, is John Edwards, and John is the Director of Facilities at Irvine Valley College. He's been with the college for quite a while, and he's been in his current role for maybe 3 years?
3.5 years, sir.
3.5 years.
Seems like an eternity. Well, as the Chancellor said, the Dr. Begay and I are going to do this briefing tonight, and what initiated the report, as was mentioned, was the question, how do we plan for maintenance? What we're going to do is focus on one college from the concept of an example, and then discuss both short-term and long-term planning solutions. Tonight we'll be covering scheduled maintenance, the preventative, routine, and emergency maintenance, custodial services, maintenance challenges, some long-term facility needs, and developing a long-term plan, how we go about that process and how we're working on that right now. In the scheduled maintenance area, one of the things that you would first need to understand is how that's defined. Scheduled maintenance are those projects that we come to the table with and have to plan out as a long-term solution. They would include things like redoing a roof on a building, it's something that requires significant funding and typically outside contractors to pull it together. Then the scheduled maintenance projects, though, what you'll notice here is that they're funded in the past by the state, but right now we haven't received funding in the last 2 years from the state, so those projects are being funded internally through general fund processes or through the generous donations from the board from the basic aid process. And what I wanted to do is put forward an example of one of those and how that impacts the college. A couple of years ago, the board authorized some money for Irvine Valley College to redo its gas line infrastructure. And in the past year, we've, working with the gas companies, we've rebuilt the gas manifolds and balanced the gas service on campus. And right now we're going through the process of pulling out the last of the metal lines that are underground and putting in polypropylene lines, because those will last us way out into the future and avoid things like underground breaks, loss of gas due to leakage at seams, and those sort of things. So the board's infusion of basic aid, when we use it as we are, will help us way out into the future and actually help reduce the long-term costs on the institution. As for what we do day to day, there's preventative, routine, and emergency maintenance. The emergencies are always the fun ones that you come out of the blue at you. But preventative and routine is what we really make our money with, if you will. We get thousands of work orders in a year that we get, not only that we generate, because we want to make sure that we're taking care of our facilities. They can be anywhere from things like replacing air conditioning filters, which you need to do on a routine basis. And again, that increases the efficiency, which decreases the cost, the energy costs, all the way to staff-generated work orders. And those can come from any number of just thought processes. Somebody looks at something and says, well, gee, I think we would be benefit if we had a paper towel holder at this point in this chemistry lab. And those are the kind of things that we try to do to make sure that our instruction smooth flows on campus. And of course, both campuses, we prepare for the breakdowns. This last weekend, I got a call Friday evening that we had a water leak, a gusher, if you will, in our bees garden, and we needed to get out there and isolate that so we could move on and fix that today as it went on. And what we do is, as we're preparing our budgets on an annual basis, we do prepare our budgets both with all of the preventative and routine, but we have to always make sure that we have some money set aside for those emergencies. And many of those repairs, like the repair that went on today with the water system, they're done in-house. Some of those go out to contractors, of course, but some of that work and a lot of that work we try to do in-house as much as possible. You have a very robust trades group that helps make all that happen. Another element of what we do are custodial services. Our custodial crews are there to provide and really pay attention to the health and welfare of both our students and our staff. They're there all day long and into the evening, of course, and they're there to provide that custodial support at all times. Students and staff are on campus. IVC has custodial services that start at 7 a.m. in the morning, and they run until 2 a.m. That next day. And we're a little different in that a little smaller campus, so we're still able to pull that off, whereas my counterpart John has people here actually that are up all night. So that it's a lot of work to maintain a campus. That crew for us also performs hundreds of setups, and that anything from a little voter registration table out in front of the quad, so that people that come onto the campus are students and sometimes guests that come on can do voter registration, all the way to something like commencement. And it's great to hear the positive feedback from something like commencement, and I'll certainly pass that on to my crew tomorrow. As far as challenges go, it wouldn't be maintenance without some kind of a challenge. One of our fun challenges is scheduling. We have to perform maintenance many times during those breaks when everybody else gets to go home and go home for the holidays and those kind of things. That's when your maintenance crews are out there working. It's necessary. We don't have a lot of shutdown time on the campus, so we have to do those kind of things that we can do in our classrooms or in our office areas to help support the staff and the students when they walk back in. They need to walk in and see things done. It needs to be seamless for them, and that's our goals, of course. Staffing is always a challenge. You would hear that everywhere, because anytime you work in a public institution, staffing is always a challenge. But that doesn't mean that we're not getting the job done. That means we could always use a little more help. New construction, as you heard for the master plan, that's a blessing and a challenge. One of the fun parts is that working in this district, we have been blessed, and I've been at, as was mentioned, I've been at IVC for quite a while, and about almost 12 years now, and I've been there and watched a lot of growth, and it's a great thing to watch and be a part of. That comes with the blessing of, gee, we've had it, that's great, but there's a lot of work to making sure that those buildings are put together well. We work very close with the district staff, all of those people that we hire, and it's very time consuming to make sure that you're getting the best building for your dollar when the day is done. So that is something that we feel, in the work that we do. And it's, at this point, I'd like to pass it on to Dr. Bugay to discuss some of the long-term facility challenges.
You've probably seen already that we have a lot of deferred maintenance issues where we've actually, the maintenance is going along, they're doing a good job on the day-to-day basis, but we have not addressed every single thing we've done. So last April, the Board of Trustees received a basically report about the facilities, and so we actually were updating that report as we go through. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. You'll see on the slide there we've identified literally hundreds of millions of dollars of improvements that we can do. And that could be daunting because that's only the deferred maintenance. That does not include capital improvements, new buildings. It doesn't include things like technology. Technology is consuming more and more of the budget, but also students are using technology more as well. So we have that. We also look at the ever-increasing need for the academic supports, and it's not just computers anymore. It's not just online, but additional needs for our students. So we're building a plan. And by a plan, we're going to look at deferred maintenance, capital improvements, technology, and other projects. And then we're going to look at over 20 years. And you'll see there's a magic number at the bottom of that slide. It says billion is spelled over 1, followed by many, many, many zeros. We have approximately, right now in the draft stage of our plan, about $1.1 billion of needs in the next 20 years. And that's for facilities, that's for new buildings and so on. But you got to start someplace. So we're going to make a plan. And here's the process. At a college, you got to make a committee. A committee is in charge of everything, so of course we have a committee. Our committee is basically called the Capital Improvement Committee. It includes all the financial officers for the district, the facilities leadership, and we included academic senate presidents. Now, that sounds a little bit strange, but let me tell you how it works. At the end of the day, we're building facilities for who? It's not for administrators. It really is to make certain our students are in classrooms. We need to have that input. I'd rather answer the questions about how we spend our money up front than have to worry about it later on and have somebody sitting there saying, well, that's not how it should be for us, so we included them right off the bat. The purpose is a very formal process. We spent a couple hours discussing the purpose of the committee because we want to make certain that we don't infringe at the two colleges and try to assume their authority. So we had a very collaborative process, and our purpose is to coordinate a prioritized district-wide 20-year facilities plan that utilizes uniform data-driven criteria. Each year, the committee will review the plan and develop recommendations. That's our basis for existence, and we'll talk more about that as we go through. And then how much in basic aid? Now, I mentioned that figure of $1 billion. Okay, each year we receive between $38 to $50 million in basic aid funding, and it varies depending upon the year. Right now, community colleges, we're faced with the tuition increase is going to go up, and when tuition goes up, enrollment tends to go down. We're also faced with the fact that there's a truth is the recession ending? And normally what happens when a recession ends, we have an inverse relationship on enrollment. When the economy goes bad, community college enrollment goes up. When the economy gets good, believe it or not, community college enrollment goes down. So now expect to hear different numbers, and don't be too disappointed if that happens, because that just means we have more money to invest with less students. So it's a positive thing for basic aid. But anyhow, look at the bottom paragraph. If we exercise patience, plan well, and focus on what I call expenditure smoothing. In other words, don't have giant spikes in expenditure. Plan ahead for different buildings coming through, deferred maintenance, and have a constant stream of expenditures going out. It's possible that we can meet our facility needs over the next 20 years. Now, it's going to take a lot of communication, a lot of planning, a lot of thinking ahead of time. But we think that our first obligation to you as a Board of Trustees is to give you a good, solid plan to focus on. So with that, in building a plan, we need to develop long-term funding for facilities, get the data. Now, part of it is, you'll see the bottom line there is using future value dollars. A dollar today is not going to be the same value of a dollar worth 20 years. And then we also want to have uniform cost. In other words, when we start doing our cost estimates, the cost estimate at Saddleback should be similar to the types of materials we're spending over at IVC. And so that way, if you replace all the windows on a building, there should be a standard cost of both colleges. And then also pay attention to life cycles. A rooftop unit, if it's 20 years at one college, should be 20 years at the other college too as well. And we should be planning to replace those on a regular basis. If the life cycle is 15 years a rooftop, we ought to budget every 15 years to replace that. So part of this is just common sense, but sometimes it's really difficult when you have a big deferred maintenance backlog and you're the maintenance director and you're trying to get by. So part of it is we want to take some pressure off of our maintenance people, give them a chance to function well by planning ahead for good funding expenditures with them. Also, now it's important to know that the committee called the Capital Improvement Committee, we call it the KIC Committee, it's not a basic aid committee. Now, basic aid, eventually the board's going to see a policy on basic aid, and we talk about basic aid because that really is the board's purview in a lot of different aspects as to how we plan long term. But this committee will give recommendations about facilities. Now, facilities is about 80% of basic aid, 80.2% right now. So you'll see things coming from KIC that are good long-term things, but we're focusing on facilities. So you'll see in the very bottom there, we define facility needs, standardized terms, standardizing the needs of uniform data, unit costs, and life cycles. And then also we're looking right now at trying to develop a uniform software program. Now, the truth of the matter is John Edwards and John Ozerevich, they work hard every single day. They go through a building, and it's hard to track things. When you go through, it'd be great to go through and have somebody walk through the building and say, this building needs new carpeting, and by the way, after you replace the carpeting, let's put it on the schedule so that 12 to 15 years from now, our standard life cycle cost for that carpeting, let's put it in the schedule now in a spreadsheet so we don't have to keep on going back and remeasuring the carpeting, checking the carpeting out every year. Now, to do that, you got to have some software, but you also have to have somebody come in and check each room out and identify how old the carpeting is and when we plan on replacing it. How about painting the rooms? Sounds like a small thing. It really isn't. That costs money and takes planning. So some of these things are standard, but to keep the data current is very hard to do. So that's where we're coming up with the 20-year plan. We're looking at the Chancellor's office. We currently use a program called Fusion, and Fusion is already a mandatory requirement for community colleges to use. We're looking at some of the finer points of it. So you'll be seeing things coming to the board in the future regarding this. And then once a realistic estimate is developed, and if, after extensive planning, we fall short of funding for all our needs, or if there's a change in the basic aid formula, and in these days, you've all heard the saying that as long as the legislator's in session, a man's life, liberty, and property is always at stake. You have no idea what will happen in Sacramento. So we'll be looking at that for possible the future. So in summary, both colleges have good plans for dealing with annual budgeting and maintenance. There's a large backlog of deferred and scheduled maintenance items. We already have identified a list of future capital improvements, which you saw tonight in the previous report. And then funding from the state is certainly not consistent. And there's items other than facilities that the district funds through basic aid. And then lastly, we're developing a data-driven 20-year plan to meet our needs for facilities and technology. So with that, I know I talk fast, but I tried to cram in 35 minutes of presentation into about 12 and a half. So do you have any questions for us?
I just have one comment. I don't see any other trustees asking to speak. Oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Pendergast would like to speak, but before that, I'll just like to say that when you talk about standardized costs between the two campuses, of course, there are differences that have to be taken into account. One campus is significantly older than the other, so therefore there's more maintenance. In addition, which is Saddleback. Saddleback is built on hills, and we've got lots of problems with ground movement that IBC hopefully won't have to face because it's on a flat level. So those are important things. And then you didn't mention the cogeneration project we have here at Saddleback, and I don't know if we did one at IVC, but we certainly need to look into that.
Yes.
So you might want to just comment briefly about that.
No, we've looked at that, and IVC has been proactive in the idea of in solar energy as well. There's been discussions on that. We brought it forward at one point, and the status of that is I don't really know. John?
We started a small cogeneration plant at IVC a few years ago, and because of the size of the plant and the technology that was used on that, that didn't work out as well as we'd like. So we are actually right now in the process with Chevron Corporation going back and fixing some issues with that. And right behind that, we desperately would like to look into the solar, because that has been one of the greatest pieces of that overall plan that the board approved several years ago and was done at IVC. And we've got some initial proposals to bring forward that would produce 1.2 megawatts of electricity that would be available. We have a wonderful flat roof on top of the Bistic building that just screams, put solar panels on me, for instance. So.
Okay, and I don't know if you have the figures of how much we actually saved with this cogeneration plant at Saddleback, but maybe someone could just comment about that, because it was significant. Looks like Mr. Ovzervich will come and tell us about
John
that.
will come up. But
that was extremely exciting, especially after what we went through with the gas and electric company.
There is a slight difference, and it is a great thing, and John will talk to it in a minute.
Okay.
One of the things that's different about Irvine Valley versus Saddleback is that Saddleback uses a central plant system, and that allows that larger cogen plant to have that economy and be used across the campus.
Okay.
Irvine Valley grew up in pieces, and so we have more package units and individual air conditioning and heating systems on the campus, and that's.
I think you just proved my point that there's such differences in the campuses.
Absolutely.
We have to take that into account. Mr. Ovzervich.
Good evening. Cogeneration, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is that we take one source of energy. In this case, it'd be natural gas. We use that natural gas to generate electricity, and in that process, heat is generated. And we also capture that heat and use it for heating the swimming pool and the buildings throughout the campus. And about 2 years ago also, we put in a new piece of equipment called an absorption chiller, and it also captures that heat and actually provides air conditioning for free, basically. And we save $500,000 to $750,000 a year. A lot of it depends on the cost of natural gas. We've been blessed lately. Natural gas costs have been very, very low, and we're trying to take advantage of that and generate some long-term agreements on our purchase of natural gas. I'm working on that right now, but that it's been very successful. One of the I don't know if it's negative side issues with it is because it's so successful. Solar on this campus doesn't make any sense, and so we've looked at that, and it really doesn't pay out. Whereas I think IVC has some excellent opportunities to go solar.
Okay, thank you. I see no other trustees wishing to speak, so we'll move to the consent calendar at this time. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Meldau wishes to ask a question.
I just have a couple things. First of all, thank you for taking a nebulous question and defining it well and giving me the answers that I really wanted. So thank you all for doing that. One thing you mentioned is that staffing's been a challenge. How can the board help you improve that situation?
Well, I think that's an internal to the college sort of issue, and we continue to bring that through the strategic planning process, and I think our voices are being heard. And as we've discussed this last year in our strategic planning process, there was a commitment made that as we bring on new facilities, that a part of bringing on those new facilities and accepting that responsibility at the college would be to also staff that, so that when we have a new building come on, that we have the staff that's necessary to take care of that building. So I think there's some recognition of some change, but I think you always will find in the public institutions that staffing always comes a little bit behind what you're really needing. So it's just
Okay.
one of those perpetual challenges I don't think will ever totally go away.
Okay, that makes sense. The other question I had, I know we're talking about building a lot of new construction, and you said it was both a blessing and a challenge. I'm just wondering, just out of curiosity, is there any figure that you can give me about the cost of maintenance per square foot on a building over a period of years? Is there any average? Do you know when we put in a new building how much it's going to cost us in maintenance figures over the next 5 or 10 years?
I don't have that. John, have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah, there are standards out there that
Could you speak into the mic, please?
there are standards out there that address those kind of things, and it's all part of the life cycling costing model that's developed when you look at new facilities. And in fact, that's one of the things we'll be looking at with the new software.
Okay.
That will allow us to do some good studies on life cycling costs.
Great, because we get the cost of the building, but we don't get the cost of keeping the building up over a period of years, and that's something that we need to figure in.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, seeing no other trustees wishing to speak, we'll now move to the consent calendar. And do I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
Consent calendar, please.
Trustee Jay, and seconded by Trustee Meldau? Okay. Are there any items that we would like to have pulled off the consent calendar? Okay. Seeing no trustees wishing to do that, I'll just comment briefly that there are at least 7 items that I found on the consent calendar that have to do with software, and large contracts for software. So let's vote on the consent calendar. Let's see. All right. The matter carries with 6 yeses, 1 student trustee advisory vote, and 1 absent member, Trustee Fuentes. All right. At this point, then, we'll move to the action items, which start with 6.0 or 6.1, I believe, and we are going to pull item 6.5. So. See, I will let our Chancellor introduce 6.1, which is Saddleback College grant acceptance from Hoag Memorial Hospital.
This is a college grant, and I'm going to have to ask President Burnett to discuss that.
Actually, it's interesting. I was going to bring this up in my closing comments, and if you recall at the OC Legislative Task Force, how we recognized Hoag Hospital as being one of our top partners in our district. This is one of the reasons, exactly right here, is that Hoag Hospital and its tremendous partnership with our nursing program and other allied health programs provides every year a certain amount of financial support for us, primarily for clinical studies, clinical support, staffing. Actually, they actually support some of our staffing in our nursing program. So it's a wonderful, generous gift that Hoag gives to us every year.
Okay, moved by Trustee Lang and seconded by Trustee Milchecker. Trustee Milchecker, would you like to comment?
No, thank you.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded. Any other trustees wishing to speak? All right, let's vote on the item. All right, matter carries with 6 yes votes, 1 student advisory vote yes, and 1 member absent. 6.2, Saddleback College again, grant acceptance, career technical education, community collaborative supplemental grant renewal. So, President Brandye.
More than happy. Actually, 6.2 and 6.3 are related. They're renewals of a grant that we received from the state for the Community Collaborative Grant. It's a wonderful grant where we're providing all kinds of opportunities and programs, particularly actually with our K through 12 partners.
Okay, Trustee Lang moved approval.
Second.
Second by Trustee Prendergast. And I see Trustee Milchecker. Do you wish to speak?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me shut this up.
All right. Thank you. All right. Let's, seeing no one else wishing to speak, vote the item. Matter carries with 6 yes votes, 1 absent, and a student advisory vote. 6.3, this is, all right, Trustee Lang.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Prendergast. And as we have heard from President Burnett, this is related. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, let's vote on the item. Carries with 6 yes votes, 1 absent, and 1 student advisory vote. 9 o'clock. Yeah. All right, 6.4. This is Irvine Valley College proposed school name, and Trustee Lang has moved approval. Second by Trustee Jay. And this is for a change of the name of the Health Sciences, Physical Education and Athletics to Kinesiology, Health and Athletics. And President Roquemore.
Yes, this is originates from a change that's happened in the four-year schools and universities. We're always looking at being able to articulate our courses, and so we've gone in and changed the names of the courses to Kinesiology, and so all of that has been approved by you at this point. The next step is to go ahead and change the name of the school, and that's what we're doing here. I believe it was last month or maybe the one before that Saddleback beat us to it and got theirs done first.
Okay. And seeing no trustees wishing to address this item, let's vote on the item. Carries with 6 yes votes, 1 student advisory vote, and 1 absent member. All right, and 6.5 we pulled, so we are at 6.6, and this item is for discussion and approval, and it has to do with administrative regulations which are periodically reviewed to ensure they're satisfactory. And the Chancellor, all right, sorry, Trustee Jay moved approval, and Trustee Milchecker seconded it. And Chancellor, would you like to address this item?
These policies were reviewed the first time by the board at the last meeting and are just brought back to you at this time for final action.
Okay. And thank you. Do we have any trustees wishing to address this item? All right, let's vote on the item. Okay. Matter carries with 6 yes votes, 1 student advisory vote, and 1 member absent. 6.7. Adopt Resolution 11.14, classified employee layoff, and the Chancellor recommends the Board approve this resolution. Exhibits A through C. Trustee Lang moved approval. Second by Trustee Meldau. And the Chancellor, would you like to present this, or you'd like to have Vice Chancellor Bouguet present this? Go ahead.
In essence, it's pretty much just in the face of it.
Speak into your mic.
It's an elimination of a position in classified staff.
Okay.
And there'd be some accommodation made for the person, but there's opportunities for movement.
Okay. Trustee Jay would like to comment on this item.
I'm always concerned about categorical positions. In many districts, when they come up for rescission or conclusion, it's automatic. That, a categorical position that maybe was approved for 6 months, a year, 3 years, when it's over, it's over. But I think in many cases, and I know the way they were originally proposed by the federal authorities and whoever offered the categorical positions, they had the intent that these might become full-time at some point. Now, generally speaking, because we're under a lot of financial pressures right now, we're pretty much reverting to that automatic categorical positions. When they're over, and there's no chance for them to fit into the full-time staff. I'd just like to be really careful that we don't give good employees who are categorical employees notice and send them off trekking somewhere, and that we lose them, therefore, to the institution if we can't pick them up financially. I'm aware we're under a lot of financial pressure now, and pretty much we're automatically following that process. But I think we should really look carefully at categorical positions before we dump them. Thank you.
Did you want to respond, Vice Chancellor? Okay.
We actually spend a lot of time working with CSEA trying to avoid layoffs. Now, in this case, we ended up working so hard, both sides did, trying to avoid a layoff here. We actually got ourselves stuck in a loop to some extent, and we felt that the best way to deal with this is flat-out layoff instead of trying to do some improvised methodology of it. So in this case, we have opportunity for the employee in this position to do something different. So we're looking at that very carefully, and to be honest about it, we work very closely with the administration of the college as well as CSEA to not to damage a good employee.
Okay.
So we're cautious on this, and I appreciate your concern.
Okay.
Trustee Lang?
Yes, just a point of order. Since this appears to be 3 separate resolutions, it looks like roll calls are maybe required on all of these.
Let's see, we have 3 separate resolutions, so are we doing 3 separate positions?
Yes.
We are. So I think that you are correct. So we will take this, divide the question, if you will, and take the first resolution, which is Resolution 11-14, and that is for senior matriculation specialists. And, I'm sorry? They're all 11-14? Oh, gosh. Okay. So, you're right. Exhibit A is a distinction then. We'll do Exhibit A, and we'll have a roll call vote on that. I need a motion, I think, to approve. Trustee Lang moved, and Trustee Milchiker seconded Exhibit A. So, would you call the roll, please?
Excuse me, Trustee Jay?
I'm going to vote no on Exhibit A. I'll support the other 2, but not this one.
Trustee Lang? Aye. Trustee Meldau? Aye. Trustee Milchiker? Aye. Trustee Padberg?
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast?
Aye.
Student Trustee Larson?
All right. With that, we will move to Exhibit B, and this is for a program technician. And do I have a motion for that one? Trustee Lang and Trustee Milchiker seconded, right? All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Trustee Lang? Aye. Trustee Meldau? Aye. Trustee Milchiker? Aye. Trustee Padberg?
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast?
Aye.
Student Trustee Larson?
Okay. And now we are at Exhibit C, which is Tech Prep Project Coordinator. Do I have a motion on that one? Trustee Lang moved and Trustee Milchiker seconded. Would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Jay?
Aye.
Trustee Lang? Aye. Trustee Meldau? Aye. Trustee Milchiker? Aye. Trustee Padberg?
Aye.
Trustee Prendergast?
Aye.
Student Trustee Larson?
All right. Very good. Thank you. We are now at 6.8, and this is academic personnel actions, and I'll ask that Vice Chancellor Brigay present this.
There's no changes to it.
No changes? All right. Any questions or comments from trustees? Do I have a motion? Trustee Prendergast.
I just had actually a question on the last one. Is there somewhere where we're supposed to sign those? Because on
the roll call, I don't think we need to sign those.
No?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So we're now on 6.8, though. So Trustee Lang moved and Trustee Milchiker seconded. Vice Chancellor Brigay, did you want to comment?
No.
Oh, I saw your hand up. Okay. All right. So seeing no one else wishing to speak, let's vote on 6.8. All right. The matter is approved with 6 yes votes, 1 student advisory vote, and 1 absent. So we will now go to 6.9, which is classified personal action. All right. There's a motion by Trustee Prendergast to approve this. Trustee Milchiker seconded. And do we need to divide these? These are not roll calls, right? So we can vote on them all in one. Are any changes, Vice Chancellor Brigay? No changes. Any questions or comments from trustees? Okay, let's vote on the item. Let's see, Jay. There we go. Okay, the matter is approved with 6 yes votes, 1 student advisory vote, and 1 absent vote. So we are now at 6.10, or 1.0, and that is our district initial proposal to CSEA Chapter 586. This is for review and study, and the Chancellor recommends the Board accept the district's initial proposal for review and study to CSEA.
Move for review and study.
Okay, Trustee Jay moved and Trustee Milchiker seconded. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, let's vote on the item. Okay, Trustee Milchiker. Okay, try it again. All right, the matter is approved with 6 yes votes, 1 student advisory vote, and 1 absent member. All right, we're at 7.1, and this is, district report. And any comments or questions about the vision and mission statements? Seeing none, let's move to 7.2. This is the Saddleback College speakers. Any questions about the outside speakers proposed for Saddleback College? Okay, seeing none, let's move to 7.3, the basic aid report. Questions or comments? Seeing none, let's move to 7.4, facilities plan status report. I think our discussion item carried that, but Trustee Lang would like to comment. Go ahead.
Well, no, my only comment was I noticed that on most of the time when we receive this report, there are certain items italicized that indicate any changes, and I'm wondering if the reason we're not seeing that is because there were no changes from the previous report?
No, there were changes. It's a editing problem, and I apologize for that.
Okay. Perhaps you could you highlight for us what those changes were?
Summarize, yeah.
Yes. All righty, real quickly here.
Here. Yeah, sure. Oh.
We mentioned to you in the bridge replacement project that the corrected plans were returned to DSA in January for back check, and approval of the DSA plan, approval of plan for construction was obtained last month. So that's a new thing. We've got the approval of DSA plans on the bridge replacement, and we'll be seeing that go out to bid shortly. The life sciences project, as you know, went out to bid, and there was a, let's see here, construction is set to begin. And once it does, like all of our projects, you can see the updates on any ongoing project on the website. So that'll start taking place with the life sciences building. And the Great Lawn project, as you know, the contractor declared bankruptcy in December. We're working with the surety to re-engage, and we're expecting that to be resolved within the next few weeks. I'm saying off the top, I'm not reading you an actual.
It's not going to turn into the Great Loan Project, is it?
No, I hope not. And that's just a real quick summary.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other requests to comment or on this item, we'll now move to 7.5, which is the monthly financial status report. Questions or comments on this report? Okay, apparently not. So we'll move to item 7.6, which is the quarterly investment report. Questions or comments on this? No? All right, we are now at reports from our various constituent groups, and we will start with Saddleback College Academic Senate. Okay, and could you please introduce yourself? I'm sorry, I don't recognize you.
Certainly, Dan Walsh, Saddleback College. I'm the incoming Academic Senate President. I look forward to working with all of you over the next year.
Okay.
And I'm happy to report on my first full day as Academic Senate President. There were no emergencies in academic and professional matters, so that's all I have to report.
Excellent, excellent. All right, and the Faculty Association, Mr. Lewis Long.
Thank you. Several trustees had mentioned during their board reports that we have had 51 full-time faculty members retire, and I did mention last time, but it's worth reiterating that among those people, there's a tremendous loss of history and experience to our district. We have several founding members of IVC retiring, and Professor Bob Parsons is retired from Saddleback, who is a founding member of that faculty who began with the district in 1968. And so while it's a tremendous opportunity for those faculty members, some of whom are continuing to teach for us part-time while they pursue other things. It's also a tremendous loss in experience, expertise, and dedication to our district. And so I echo Trustee Milchicker's desire to replace those people with people who are equally skilled and dedicated to the welfare of our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our Irvine Valley College Academic Senate?
Well, it looks like I will be here for one more year as I've been reelected to the next term.
Right.
As far as our faculty, of course, we're closing our spring 2011 grades during this week, but at the same time, we're also launching our summer one. So we're quite busy on the faculty side. The Senate Rep Council at IVC has retired, leaving the Senate authority in the hands of the Cabinet for the summer. And, of course, we'll reconvene in August as usual. We are still working on a few of the last-minute hires that we were engaged in as we completed the spring semester, and we'll continue that into the summer to complete those hires.
We're also actively planning for next year's DALS, the Distinguished Academic Lecture Series, as well as the IVC to IVC, which already is just about full for the next academic year. So I'll bring particulars on that as we shore up all of those speakers and the announcements. And, of course, Kay Riles was acknowledged earlier in the evening for her work as our full-time faculty Professor of the Year. So we're quite proud of her, as well as all of our faculty. And not many emergencies on our side either, so away we go.
Great. All right. And next, our Associate Vice Chancellor of Economic Development, Randy Peoples.
Thank you, and good evening. I'd like to add my congratulations to the presidents and the staff for really fine graduation ceremonies. And just a couple items on progress on the ATEP development. As the board approved recently the education requirements for our education partners, CBRE, CB Richard Ellis real estate brokers are now going to be launching probably later this week a series of events that will start marketing the ATEP site for future development. There are new marketing signs on the ATEP site already. They've developed a really nice brochure that they can send out to interested parties. They'll be launching a website hosted by themselves with information about ATEP that Terry Flugelman and I and others have worked on. And last but not least, they're going to be doing a mass emailing to, to real estate brokers, commercial real estate brokers nationwide announcing this opportunity. So we're going to work on driving those interests to the real estate brokerage firms so they can initially evaluate them and then bring those to the district and college presidents and chancellor for further review. So that's pretty exciting. Thank you.
Very good. All right. And President of Irvine Valley College.
Thank you very much. And basically what I'd want to do is thank all of you for attending all of the events that you have. This is an exhausting period of time that we go through, and I know what you did, and we're all tired of that. I want to mention but it is wonderful, the commencement ceremonies. The presidents have taken a lot of accolades for those, but the work is really behind the scenes, and I say that we have a very fine team with very good eyes, sharp eyes. They see issues, they take care of them, they just break their backs to make that a perfect event for the students and their families, and I just have to thank all of them for their efforts. They're the ones that made that happen. And finally, it's impossible, I think, in this district to keep a secret, but I pulled one off, and that has to do with Professor Kay Riles. And I think it's the very first time in the history that I had here in the district that we have been successful. And what happens when she got Faculty Member of the Year, she's the selection for the community colleges. She's the #1 choice there. When that happens, Superintendent of Schools, Bill Habermill, shows up in a great big bus full of people and cameras and awards and all this. They give you very little notice. And so we decided to give it a try and surprise Kay in her classroom. And again, almost impossible to do, but we did. We got that whole entourage across the campus into her room, and she was absolutely shocked. And her students loved it. They just had a great time. So it is possible, but it doesn't happen very often.
Great. All right, President Todd Burnett.
Thank you,
Saddleback
Madam
College.
President. And congratulations to Kay Riles. That's a wonderful distinction, and it just underscores how terrific our faculty are at our district. First, I did want to, I was going to introduce you, Mr. President, down there. I'm starting to go first, but he's our new Academic Senate President in his first meeting. And I'm glad your first day went well. I look forward to 364 similar days. Thank you. Also wanted to congratulate our new student trustee, Jordan Larson, and welcome. I look forward to working with you over the next week. Ditto everything my colleague over at Irvine Valley said about commencement, and thank you all very much. The trustees' support and participation with commencement is just absolutely spectacular. And the students appreciate it, the faculty do, the staff, we all do. So thank you. Would like you to know the official time was 1 hour and 42 minutes. That's pretty good. And I think we even beat the record from last year because we actually had more people to get through this year. So I think that adds a lot to it. Also, I do want to underscore that we have 30 of those 51 retiring faculty. And as that email I sent out earlier and you saw, we're losing some really good faculty. And we're losing our first member of our first faculty, Bob Parsons, which is a real bittersweet moment for all of us because he really is really one of our top faculty members, and we're going to miss him greatly. Thank you for those of you that attended the scholarship ceremony. We're very pleased that we raised and gave out $270,000, which was one of the highest in history for over 145 students. So thank you, those of you that participated, helped us raise money, and attended it as well. And finally, just let you know that we had commencement on Friday, and today was already the beginning of summer session. And so we're looking forward to another getting that done. And those of you who don't know, one of the things that's good about our district, and we talked about the fiscal problems, what's going on out there in the state, congratulations to all of us that we're still offering at both of our colleges a hearty summer session when students need it the most. And we are picking up a lot of slack from the other community colleges out there in our Orange County that aren't able to do that. So once again, thanks to all of you for allowing us and helping us and guiding us to be able to do that.
All right, thank you. And let's see. Well, I'm going to get to you. You want to comment, Vice Chancellor Brigade?
I do. My son graduated Friday, and I have to
Could
tell
you speak into the mic? Pull it closer. It's hard. Yeah.
My son Kurt graduated Friday from Saddleback College, but he attended actually IVC and Saddleback. And to be honest about it, the experience helped him immensely. He graduated from high school. He was probably more mature than most, like all parents think that's true. But the truth of the matter is he really came into his own this last year. He did extremely well academically, and growth-wise, he grew head and shoulders above where he was a year before. So frankly, the faculty at both colleges contributed towards his development, and I'm certainly appreciative of that. And I'm one of thousands of parents this year who are very proud of their son for graduating.
Great. What a great story. All right. Does Vice Chancellor Bermucci? Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may jump in, just to answer David Bouguet, he can't be out here by himself. As I forgot to mention, my eldest son graduated from IVC on Friday, so had to throw that one in.
Wonderful. Wonderful stories. Well, speak up. My Chancellor had another graduation member of his family, too. Speak up. Come on.
Yes, that's true. My daughter went through the ceremony at Saddleback College. She got a certificate in medical assisting that'll go along with her doctorate in music. And maybe between all of those degrees and certificates, she can get a job somewhere.
Wonderful. Vice Chancellor Bermucci, do you have a report?
No report this
All right. And Vice Chancellor Bouguet, do you have a report? Okay. All right, and we are now at our IVC classified Senate.
Well, I do have a lengthy report. I hope I don't go over my 2 minutes here. But the classified Senate at IVC has been extremely busy and very excited this year. We have been selected as a model classified Senate by the California Community Colleges classified Senate. That's the 4 Cs.
Can you speak into the mic a little more? Because you're having trouble.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And we'll be receiving a formal award at the California Leadership Institute Conference on June 24th, so we're really excited. We also raised over $3,500 for student scholarships. This was all our committees, the classified Senate committees. At our meetings this year, we feature special guests during our meetings. One of our guests in particular was our Chancellor, Gary Porner, our President, our Vice Presidents, and also many faculty from IVC. We try to do this to enhance communication and to build bridges across the campus and also the district. Our classified Senate also, through the Staff Development Committee, we held a workshop where we really put together our mission statements and our goals for all our Senate committees. And with that, we really increase understanding and a clear methodology of what to do at these committees and what is the purpose of us being at this chair governance participatory opportunity that we are provided to. At this workshop, we also
created a first logo for the Classified Senate, and that's why I share with you this handout on your desks over there so you can see our first logo. We were working on our website, and we revamped it to create a centralized opportunity for all the staff to really look at our Classified Senate meetings and activities. And for the first time ever, our Classified Senate held evening Classified Senate meetings also to reach our evening staff and make them part of our team. We're still working on one more meeting for the year, and on June 17 we will have the end of the year celebration, and it will be my ending 2 years of Classified Senate President. So pretty busy, but very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and our CSEA President, Dwayne Main.
Thank Dr. Bugay and Teddy Lorich for all the time and effort that they have spent with CSEA in working to save jobs. In the case of the one layoff that we have of a senior matriculation specialist, we have been successful in finding a place for him, and we know that that will continue. And I just really appreciate the time and effort involved in doing all of that, because it does take a lot of time. Secondly, next week we're having a Know Your Rights workshop at both colleges. IVC in the morning on next Tuesday, the 31st, and then in the afternoon here at Saddleback. We're also hoping, with our Orangefield office's approval, to invite some of the classified managers and administrators to also participate for part of that, as it's not just their rights, but also understanding what management's rights are as well. So that's what we'll be doing next week. Thank you.
All right, very good. And I see we have no one from the Saddleback College Classified Senate, the Police Officer Association, or either of our student government representatives. So we are at the end of our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Trustee Lang, seconded by Trustee Pendergast. We are now officially adjourned. Made it.